Wow, we are live streaming. It's been a while since I've done one of these. I'm hoping to get some engagement. Just give me one moment while I summon whatever followers I have on my Instagram story to let them know that we are live. And hopefully we can get some people up in here. Great. What's going on, Matt? How's your day so far? How is your day so far? Hopefully we can get some people in here and go through some rapid Q&A. I apologize, guys. I'll be sure to just be more mindful of doing these live streams. I'm planning one on my Patreon, but that's pretty much where I've been active, and I've just been trying to post more. I had that video on pramiracetam. Prior to that, we're talking more about like nootropic blends. But guys, as you enter in, just drop a comment if you don't mind. Premise of this video, kind of what I wanted to talk about, was sleep deprivation. What I would do, typically on a day when I'm not getting enough sleep. So last night, for example, I slept probably 4 hours, and I will admit I did it intentionally, as there is some interesting research out there showing some of the effects that sleep deprivation has as far as like your mood, not necessarily like your cognition, but your thinking pertaining to like goal-oriented behavior, that kind of pathway. So it's pretty cool. And then it also can like shorten your attention span. I know everybody has this bad connotation to having a short attention span, of which I would make the argument that if you're somebody that's in sales or you have to like make presentations, having a short attention span in a lot of cases is actually good, because you're always learning how to keep people more and more engaged. If you work on the assumption that people have short attention spans, you're always just going to do your best to like draw people in. However, if you have a job that is somewhat analytical, in terms of maybe you work behind a desk or behind a computer, probably not ideal. But sleep deprivation especially could especially be a good tool if you're somewhat like depressed, maybe going through a slump. With depressed people, that was my story. I was, kind of oversleeping. So since we have no comments on here, I'm going to go ahead and just answer some questions, and we will start off with my Patreons, and I'm going to go through some questions. Sachin says, he asks so many questions, but he's great. If I take piracetam and oxiracetam at the same time, should I double the dosage of alpha GPC? No, that is a good question. I guess in theory, it would make sense. Like I talk about something like 200 milligrams of alpha GPC along with a good serving of piracetam or oxiracetam, but you wouldn't necessarily have to take 400 milligrams. Yeah, great question though. Sachin says, I didn't notice it before, but I don't see an expiry date on items bought from Nootropics Depot. Aha, very interesting. I'm not sure if there's a question there, my friend Sachin. Austin Ilasan from my Patreon says, just wanted to pop in. For Noopep, seems like a good amount of people have some adverse side effects. Austin, you'd be surprised. I think more so just people are going to always post about bad experiences versus good ones. So I wouldn't say so, but as maybe wherever I read is different from where you're reading. Bernard, I would be more than happy to look at your stack. I actually answered a few people over on a Facebook group on nootropics. Guys, as you hop in, drop a comment. I want to know who's here, and hopefully we can get some good conversation flowing here. And again, I apologize that I haven't done live streams as often. I think the last one I did was maybe Monday. Matthew on my Patreon, update, rhodiola is amazing. I went for an epic walk and I still have energy. I can't wait to stack it tomorrow with L-tyrosine for work. Yeah, that's a great stack. If you've watched my videos, I often recommend it for those that are experiencing like Adderall withdrawals, or withdrawals from stimulants, amphetamines. All right, Mr. Bernard, we are reviewing your stack, and I'm happy to help if I'm helpful. Phenylpiracetam. So I'm looking at Bernard's comment, of which he says he posted a stack. Phenylpiracetam 3 days a week, modafinil 3 days a week. Follow-up question: are you using modafinil and phenylpiracetam on the same days, or is it like 3 of the days you're on modafinil, 3 of the days you're on phenylpiracetam? Alcar, uridine, lion's mane, bacopa, ceticoline, vinpocetine, maca, lithium orotate, aniracetam, PS, phosphatidylserine, CoQ10, and ubiquinol. Let me know, Bernard. I just asked you that question because that will vary on my answer. All right, next question. Okay, no, not there. Yo, why is everybody so quiet? Speak up, guys. Ask something, man, or make a comment. Okay, somebody asks, what are the best natural nootropics? Natural, if like naturally occurring, we could talk about like the adaptogens. They're probably the best, whereas the racetams are somewhat on the other side of the spectrum. Somebody says, which are the best nootropics for memory boost? Somebody comments exercise. That would be Bacopa Minieri. Are the 5-hour energy shots safe? That's a good question. I was taking a lot of 5-hour energy and like Rockstar drinks just kind of out of curiosity, like knowing they're probably not good for me, given that they have whatever sweetener, artificial flavor, like flavors, all that stuff you wouldn't want. The answer is yes. I think they're relatively safe. I think they actually have some really good ingredients there, and it's a good product given that you are able to just get this small sample and test a whole bunch of nootropics. So the 5-hour energy, I like it a lot. My only critique to it is they could have added more l-tyrosine. I think that may have just made it more effective. I remember they have N-acetyl l-tyrosine, I believe, and it was kind of underdosed, so wasn't so great, and it had a lot of vitamin B, which was very good. So it almost acts like a pre-workout as well. It's good. It's kind of overpromised. I mean, 5-hour energy, you won't get 5-hour energy. It's almost like a pre-workout that is both effective physically and mentally too. So Bernard, not talking on the same time. Okay, great. Yeah. Appreciate you contributing with the stack. I like the stack. I would just say what I don't like is how you only basically have one day where you're not on a very strong stimulant. Like modafinil and phenylpiracetam, you're taking that 6 days a week. And the problem with that is that you just kind of forget who you are, because phenylpiracetam and modafinil, they're so damn stimulating or just sort of like little wakefulness agents and such. So what happens is, you are just so focused that you're not able to do things outside of work, or that's been my experience. Like with modafinil, not much interest in work otherwise. By the way, guys, I took more phenylpiracetam today than I've ever taken before. I think I took 350 milligrams, of which I took about 200. I took about 250 milligrams first thing in the morning. I did a quick run, and then afterwards I took 100 milligrams more, just fasted with water, and really good stuff. Bernard, I don't really think there's anything wrong with mixing mixing both of them. Actually, for specific days, I've enjoyed mixing phenylpiracetam and modafinil because the energy that you get in the later portion of the day from phenylpiracetam kind of like counters the unproductiveness you get from modafinil, because with modafinil, it's like the later portion of the day, you're lower than your baseline productivity, whereas phenylpiracetam, like the later portion of the day, you're higher. So I find like when you mix them both, you get the benefit that way, that you can work nicely the whole day and you have the mental energies and along with like the physical energy with phenylpiracetam. With modafinil, you're very distractible, and that's something which can't just be alleviated from taking phenylpiracetam itself. You need like a good choline source. So I like that you have acetylcholine there. I would actually think that adding piracetam to that stack, if you can get it, you may notice some of your nootropics work better, like your uridine. And I would say with that stack, otherwise, you probably benefit by adding some rhodiola rosea. As if you're taking a stack like that, then I think it's safe to say you're working a lot. You're working a lot of hours. So rhodiola rosea, 300 milligrams twice per day. It works for me. Seems to work well for a lot of people. And I don't know much about your like context. I don't know if you're a student, you're in work, but I hope that was helpful. Bernard, let me know if it was. Chris says, I think lemon balm is great. Yeah, me too. A lot of good talk about it as far as nootropic that's relatively safe. Any nootropics good for schizophrenia? That just goes along with all the nootropics which are good for like mental health. When it comes to like something like mental health, guys, you have to be mindful that there's nootropics you should stay away from, like stimulants to some extent, stuff like St. John's wort. So I think it's more important that you, of course, keep a good diet. I wouldn't necessarily say some nootropics work a lot better than others. Make sure you're eating, you're keeping stable insulin levels by Eating good, like slower digesting foods, dropping sugar intake if you can, lots of fish oil, aim for 3 to 4 grams of EPA and DHA mixed, and make sure you're sleeping well. Like your sleep is kind of your like a good barometer of your mental health. Oh my gosh, I titled this live stream 4 hours of sleep. So what I did was I slept like, Onyx, be quiet, you're too loud, you're interrupting the stream. I usually put you away, but I gave you a chance here. When it came to sleep, so I'm really finding that phenylparacetam is probably more effective than modafinil for fighting sleep deprivation, in my opinion. Thank you. Go away. Julian Alexander says, "Hey Mike, I just started Zyvan 300. Sure, SR 300 milligrams. Yeah, okay. I thought you meant 150 milligrams twice a day. Did you initially feel a bit dull or suppressed emotions? When did it start working for you? Is Zyban another name for something else? Because I am not familiar. Oh, this is Bruhopion. Very cool. Nice. Yo, I ran out of my 300 milligram XL tabs, so I was taking 150 milligrams today. I took it SR. Did you initially feel a bit dull or suppressed emotions? You know what? I actually felt the focus and the productivity effect I would say immediately, but the kind of like what you want and why people take it as far as like the mood uplift or its ability to get you out of some sort of like depression or depressive thoughts. That took about 3 weeks. I was very skeptical because I think 1.5 weeks in, I went to my doc and my pharmacist and I was like, this stuff doesn't work. It doesn't do anything. But I really did like that. It helped to blunt my appetite. I found it such a strong appetite suppressant. And when you're in a depression, a lot of people have the tendency to overeat. And I was there. I was like overweight and it helped. So 3 or 4 weeks, although you should feel something at the beginning, what you're most likely to feel is like physical energy. You may get some uncomfortable heart palpitations. And I felt that with the SR specifically. I mean, again, if you dose them quickly, I think like morning's best, late afternoon is good too. When did it start to work for me? But now I'm just questioning, does this stuff still work? Because I've been using this since November of 2018, which means I'm on Wellbutrin for probably 18 months. And I take days off of it every here and there just out of curiosity and actually find that I function almost similarly. I have a little bit heightened anxiety, but it's nothing too significant. Who knows, maybe I'll be off Wellbutrin soon. The only thing is I can't really find any bad side effects. I don't know am I the only one? Like I take so many nootropics and I don't really feel bad side effects, like hardly ever. Not with the racetams, not with Nupep, not with some of the adaptogens. I know it's a good concern people have about, should I be taking too many nootropics? Perhaps I'm just the wrong person to ask, because if you're wondering like what my worst experience has been with nootropics, I really don't like have one, but again, I'm like really mindful of my heart rate. That's one thing where you can say I'm a little bit safe with stimulants, as I don't want to like do anything which is overly uncomfortable. So Wellbutrin and yohimbine, I've noticed those two just don't go well. I've talked about yohimbine in the past, but please don't like mix them or even ask me about that, because that is one thing which you can feel this uncomfortable feeling and you just won't want to move until it's gone. Wonderful. I'm at my first week. I'm taking this to combat Vyvanse-induced depression since I stopped taking Vyvanse in about 4 months ago. And are you still feeling the withdrawals? That's pretty crazy. Doesn't surprise me though, because people who are on Vyvanse for a long period of time, they can't experience it. You know what? That actually does serve as that is a great idea for Wellbutrin as essentially an aid to counter the withdrawals that you're getting from Vyvanse. I think that's brilliant. I don't know if your GP advised that, and it's not a reason to take this stuff, because I used it essentially like after a manic episode. Like I was like manic, high manic episode, crazy, and followed by like a dip, obviously in your mood, sleeping 16 hours a day and like still tired. I remember like I couldn't even get out of bed. It was so strange. And Wellbutrin helped get out of that. And it was just found from researching so much, and every single, or not every single, but I tried a lot of antidepressants and they all induced weight gain. It was pretty crazy. And that would just make you more depressed in itself in a lot of cases, or that's been my experience. And we are out of questions. So there's 13 people here. I'm going to ask you to give this thing a like and drop a question here to be helpful for our other nootropic friends on this community. Otherwise, I'm going to jump back to Quora. Does eating lion's mane mushrooms reverse Alzheimer's? No. If you mean reverse Alzheimer's, it's not likely. Can it help with your memory? Yes. But pramiracetam, which I just made a video on, is actually supposedly more effective when it comes to recovering from bad, like, episodes of having just something bad, like something sort of traumatic brain injury, maybe even like a stroke. What are the health benefits of choline? I love that question. Health benefits of choline, great for brain function, helps liver function. It may even lower inflammation. Good for physical and mental performance, good for mood. And the list goes on. I like to think of it as pretty much just like adding batteries to your, to your stack. All right, next question, guys. What are the benefits of that? Is the benefit from L-theanine more substantial after taking it for multiple days or weeks, or just for the day? You know what? It's not been my experience that L-theanine is more effective when used for several days and weeks. It has a lot of great properties. It's a proven sleep enhancer. It promotes calmness and it lowers anxiety, but it does have that immediate effect. I've not found that there's some sort of buildup, but some people do report that with L-tyrosine, which is another very popular amino acid. Somebody says, I find it impossible to meditate. Okay, this is not a meditation channel, but I'm helpful to contribute since I've been through that. Hey, everybody claims that it's impossible to meditate. So know that you're not a special snowflake. Force yourself. I forced myself through 1 hour a day for like a whole year, and you will get over it. Wonderful. It's my first week though. Okay, great. Yeah, I had that experience in the past and about 10 years ago. Oh, that's very cool. I used it back then. James Fours, is adrafinol worth it? If you can't get the other stuff like I talk about, then yeah, I'd say so, because I talk a lot about nootropics that will help you to get to, kind of help your normal self, like your self, assuming you're like you slept well, you're eating well, you're hydrated. But what about those agents that you need for days when you just feel off, when you're not, maybe you haven't slept, maybe you're like just down, you have low energy. What do you need for those kind of emergency scenarios? And if you don't have stuff like phenylpiracetam, modafinil, I would argue that adrafinol is pretty good because it will give you that slight mood uplift, which you need, that increase in focus, the energy to get through your day. And that's where adrafinol is good. It's not bad. I apologize. On my videos, I was going back on them and like I kind of gave adrafinol kind of a, like a bad connotation to it. I didn't mean to. I apologize. Adrafinol, it does serve a good purpose. Just what I didn't like about it is I really didn't notice how unproductive the stuff was actually making me. I mean, it makes you feel, it improves your mood, which makes it something which you are just tempted to take it just over and over and over again, right? Have you noticed that energy drinks are using L-theanine? Do you think it will in the future new drinks be used? Okay, L-theanine in energy drinks. Tolkera, if you look at them, because I know what you're talking about, they're usually dosed in very small amounts. It's almost like it just to kind of have it there in the ingredients so that the brand can say, look, we have L-theanine in it. Because they're usually putting a dose, I could be wrong, but I see it in doses like 30, 40 milligrams, sometimes 50 milligrams. It's very unusual to see a energy drink which has like 100 milligrams, 200 milligrams. Some of the dosages that we talk about, like I talk about on my videos, 100 milligrams of caffeine with 200 milligrams of L-theanine. So L-theanine, I don't think it will be, because with energy drinks, people want to notice that it's working. If you're going to go to the gas station or wherever and buy 5 Hour Energy or buy a Rockstar drink, you want to know that the stuff has an immediate impact and you can justify buying the stuff again. But if it has something like L-theanine to kind of smoothen it and make it feel somewhat not as stimulating, I think you may be less likely to go ahead and buy it. So just my thoughts. Like could be wrong. Caffeine and L-theanine is my current favorite nootropic, but I've been looking to make a more advanced stack. Oh, you absolutely do need one, because that's just kind of like an energizer. It doesn't really have some of the benefits that other nootropics do. Want to try all the racetams to see what works for me. It just sounds like a lot of trial and error. Yeah, that's a really good point. James, it depends what kind of work you're involved in. I think if you're a student, it's good to trial and error. And I also don't think, I'm sure there's a lot of people that don't agree with me, but I don't think there's anything wrong with like mixing the racetams once at the beginning, because the racetams are such that I found they're effective when I take them out of my stack, not really when I put it in. So if you want to just go ahead off the bat and try oxiracetam, aniracetam, piracetam, and just notice how your state is, and like maybe 2 months later, take out one of them, see what's happening. Because aniracetam probably worked after 3 months of being on it, then taking it out, and then I noticed the stuff was really helping me that way. And guys, we have 14 people here, but we only have 4 or 5 people asking questions, which is not that supportive. Come on, guys, just pop in with your questions, or we're going to do this really early. When do I need to take a bigger dose than 100 milligrams of modafinil? Maybe you can argue if you don't have caffeine or other stimulants, and I wouldn't necessarily say it's better, because over 100 milligrams of modafinil is probably only more effective if you have like a lot of physical work to do. I find like mentally I'm in a lot of cases actually sharper with less modafinil versus more, because with more you're kind of too distractible. You just want to read, and it's hard to have conversations with people. Like I'll be on the phone with people, not paying attention to what they're saying, not paying attention to what they're saying, and being like, "Hey, sorry, I'm on modafinil." I felt like Pram was the closest to Addy in my opinion. Is that right, Tolkera? Because then I'm surprised why my new video on Pram Rastam did really poorly. I only got like 170 views, but it's all good. I had a feeling Pram Rastam wasn't that popular, but I had to get that video out there. James Forrest says, crazy that watching Limitless introduced me into this world. Very cool. It was like, I questioned nootropics up until that movie when I first started with like piracetam and centrophenoxine, and then the movie came out and I was just like, holy, like, this stuff is actually doing something. It wasn't just me. Or, is there a way? And then you just go on this wonderful journey of looking for the nootropic stack that is limitless. I'm considering adding one of these to my stack. Black seed oil, huperzine-a, SAM-E, PQQ, PC, PA, Ginkgo. Bernard, I'm really curious to know, like, why are you adding these nootropics? Because there's so many greater nootropics in my opinion. Like, I don't know why, or I can't justify why you're adding like vinpocetine, CoQ10, Ginkgo, huperzine-a. Not that they're necessarily bad, but these are nootropics that are really not that effective. You may notice a slight increase in energy, but that's only maybe for somebody elder, maybe for somebody that's not eating meat or not getting like adequate, vitamin and mineral through your micronutrients. So Bernard, if you look at Jason's comment right below you, he says, I bought L-tyrosine and it's good. So nice suggestion over there. I would really advise you look into the adaptogens, Bernard. It would be helpful to know more about yourself. Are you a student, or what are you up to? And guys, I'm enjoying the comments. It's like each comment gives me more and more energy, and I appreciate you guys. About L-tyrosine, and it's so good. Yo, L-tyrosine is so good. That's why I keep the stuff in capsules, powder form, different capsules, 500 milligrams, 750 milligrams. If you haven't tried it, L-tyrosine, really special, and is particularly noticeable and effective when you combine it with stimulants. So otherwise, fasted, good stuff. How long does it take to feel the effects of lion's mane? Been taking it for 2 weeks. I'm looking at Olancio's comment, Olancio soars. Guys, this is one feeling of pramiracetam. I took 400 milligrams today, and like I can't stop shaking. I can't stop talking, which is good that we're on this live stream. So be mindful of that. Lion's mane, you should immediately notice a reduction in anxiety, especially for somebody that doesn't drink a lot of coffee and stimulants. I found that when, let's say you have a deadline approaching, you have more work than typically, that's when lion's mane I found especially useful, that you feel this, you feel like you almost have a plan B. You're acting in a fashion which is that you're kind of like not attached to getting the result. Like you obviously want to get straight A's, but if you don't, that's okay. Because when you're in that state, you're calmer, you're more resourceful, and arguably you just perform better. So that's what you should kind of feel with lion's mane. You should feel a little bit more calm. You should actually have a lot like more interest in your work. You'll find yourself just asking better questions. I find that when I'm in conversations with people, I just enjoy them a lot more, and I want to know more about people. I really just take on the mindset that there's always something you can learn from somebody, and everybody's a genius at something. They're just trying to figure out what it is. So first thing is the reduction in anxiety, better mood, feeling of calmness, kind of like how I talk about with ashwagandha. And just keep it up. one thing is, I don't know why a lot of people are taking lion's mane in just a dose of once in the morning. I don't think that's the best way to take it. I think you're better off splitting it across the day through 2 to 3 servings. That's what I'm doing. But unfortunately, when it comes to lion's mane, a lot of it's being sold in these 500 milligram capsules. So I would say the 8-to-1 extract is my favorite. And if you got the 1-to-1 extract, that's good too. Just give it some time. And again, Alancio, I'd be curious to know what other nootropics you're taking. No. Tolkera says, not a nootropic question, but I noticed that you have an iPad. I might buy one for note taking. Do you recommend it? No, not necessarily. Like, not my iPad anyway, because my iPad is the 12.9-inch Pro. Like, I paid, I think I paid like $2,000 for this thing in total, because I went like all out. I bought like the, nice little Apple Pen, the Magic Keyboard, all that stuff. And it's kind of heavy. So if you do go ahead and get it, then get the 11-inch, I think. And I particularly just use it because I have to get contract signed. So when I get contract signed, where's my damn Apple Pen? Oh, the Apple Pen case is actually handy too, especially if you have a dog, because he will bite your Apple Pen and just rip that thing apart. So this really good if you're making presentations. Like for me, because I sell houses, I often go through a house or I meet a client and I show them pictures of a specific house. So because I'm showing them, pictures of specific houses, it's just good that I can make a good presentation this way. And it's really good when it comes to like contracts. If you do buy it for note taking specifically, then there is actually a specific screen cover you can get, which feels like paper when you draw on it. And shout out to Jerome who told me about that. So that is one way, but the thing's pretty cool. 12.9-inch Pro, and make sure you get Apple Care, because if you don't get Apple Care and you drop it or it gets water damage, then you just cannot replace it. And no problem with the unrelated nootropic questions, as we seem to not have lost any viewers. How does Bacopa feel? Does lion's mane have any test? I will answer the question of how does Bacopa feel. You will immediately just feel like more present, almost like you just kind of wake up and like, whoa, it's this intense feeling of forgetting what the hell happened throughout the day. But that effect only lasts like 30 to 60 minutes. And then with time, you'll notice you'll feel like a better memory. You'll feel just overall calmness, and you'll find that your resilience is up, your work ethic is up, your discipline is up throughout the course of the day. It's a lot easier with Bacopa to finish work, get through the last 3 or 4 hours of the day, and do it with excitement and enjoy it. So I like it a lot, but a lot of people report Bacopa feeling like a demotivational effect. Some people experience a drop in libido, similar to with lion's mane. Does lion's mane have any taste? Yes, it's not as bad as Bacopa, not as bad as rhodiola, but there's a taste. What's the easiest way to stay disciplined and keep a routine? James, I like Jason's answer to your question, because I don't necessarily think like discipline and having a routine is the tough part. Like the tough part is just building the habit. Like once you go through that, that process of getting enough experience with a particular habit, like they say 21 days to build a habit. So whatever it is, if you're trying to wake up at 7 in the morning, hey, just give it 3 weeks, see how it goes. And then who knows, you may just eventually have that habit down. And it's really important, James, you just kind of answer the question of why it's important to you. If you're trying to build a specific habit, then go really deep into it. If you are building a specific habit because of the reasons, you may just have it all in your head, but it's really effective when you just do something called getting out a notebook. Where the hell is my notebook fail? I can't find it. Getting out a notebook and write out why it's important for you. So if it's something like you want to track your calories, then write down why that's important for you. It may be important because you have like a wedding in a few months. You want to look great. It may be helpful because at the end of the day, it'll help your income, given that you'll have better energy levels. So really get deep into it. Why is it important? What are the consequences of not going ahead with it? And there's a great book, which was really educational with habits. And it was called 30 Days to Personal Power by Tony Robbins. I think my dad introduced it to me, and it was such that you kind of take the perception. I mean, some NLP tactics they use, but people are either driven based on towards pleasure or away from pain. So some people do activities because they're scared of a particular consequence happening, and some people will do activities because of something inspiring them, or maybe like a vision they have for themselves. So create that vision, or if it works for you, then create the consequence of not doing it. So for me, a practical reason of that is like, if I need to be on the phones making calls for 3 hours, it's exciting and I have the pleasure, given that if I'm on the phones for 3 hours, who knows, maybe I could sell my house for a really good price, buy another house. Maybe I can upgrade my car. I can get new rims on my Porsche. I can do something with it. And the consequences would be such that I'll be living this life forever. I won't develop to the person that I'm capable of being. And hope that's helpful. And be curious to know if there's any particular habit that you need help with. Maybe some accountability could help. Bernard CX says, I'm a first-year college student that's working 40 hours a week, and I'm new to nootropics. I want a stack that I could take for years without much tolerance and with long-term benefits. Yeah, I mean, but that doesn't necessarily mean you take nootropics that are useless, because there's some nootropics there, Bernard. Like, give them a shot. But I would say they haven't done much for me, so I'm not the best person to ask. Like, I mean, I get so much hate on my channel, guys. It gets to me sometimes, like on Reddit. Oh my gosh, people are ruthless. Like, why are you trying to sell nootropics? I'm like, I'm not even selling nootropics, right? So I talk good about a lot of nootropics, but I also talk bad about some nootropics, and I think they're overrated. And some examples of that would be vinpocetine, useless. I mean, was useless for me. CoQ10 may be appropriate if you're somebody elder, and as I mentioned before, not getting adequate vitamins and minerals that you may find helpful. And then some of the other things you mentioned, huperzine-a didn't do much. SAM-E, it's okay. It can do some good things for mood. PEA, it's nice for focus. You can mix it with l-tyrosine. It's not that great. And ginkgo biloba, I think you're better off taking something like Bacopa if you're using ginkgo biloba for memory, which is why most people seem to do that. Do you own... guys, we got 17 people here. Just don't mind, give this some likes. We're trying to grow this channel and get to 5,000 subscribers, and we are off track, given that my damn channel got some issues and like 50 plus videos were gone, and then suddenly they're back. But my channel is just not performing like the way it was. But that's okay, guys, because we are not getting down on ourselves. It's just part of the journey, and we're enjoying it. We're embracing it, and we're using nootropics to progress further. Taking ashwagandha and gokshura along with the lion's mane. I ordered the 8-to-1 after watching your video. Let's see how it works. Thanks for your info. It was extremely awesome and helpful. Great. Do you own a nootropics company? If not, you should start one. No, I don't, and I appreciate the compliment. That's super kind words. 21 days to build a habit and 90 days to build a lifestyle. There's more to this than this 21 days to build a habit thing, because you can make it also just depends on like your natural desire. Like, if you really have a desire to stop smoking, like something happened, maybe you watch something on TV, or somebody passed away, unfortunately, right? Like, you can just stop smoking right then, and that doesn't necessarily take 21 days. So there's that's essentially why there's such a big range. And I don't know where this 21 days came from. I think it came from Maxwell Maltz in that famous book Psycho-Cybernetics, which is a great mindset book. I would highly recommend it. How would you stack Bacopa to counteract the crash? The crash of Bacopa, or the drop in libido, or what specifically, Tokera, are you referring to? Because with Bacopa, I don't necessarily feel any sort of crash from it. I noticed that immediate, like, kind of stimulating, like, wakefulness effect of like, holy crap, what the hell did I just take? And this really intense feeling. And I know it sounds strange, but just kind of analyzing like your whole environment. That's how I know this stuff is working. But I will say that I am a responder to Bacopa for whatever reason. Like, a lot of the adaptogens, like Bacopa, rhodiola, lion's mane, not ashwagandha, but those three. This is why I talk about them so much in my videos and my live streams, is because they are noticeable for me anyway, especially rhodiola. So with respect to Bacopa, if you mean the crash and the drop in libido, this is something helpful. Snack on these throughout the whole day. Or snack through these through the day anyway. Brazil nuts, super high in selenium. You want to get an increase in libido. People ask me what I think of Tim Ferriss, and he talks about taking 5 Brazil nuts every day for testosterone. I don't know if that's true about testosterone, but libido, sex drive, man, it's pretty crazy. Like, my mood is so much better when I'm eating Brazil nuts, and because of that, it's probably not the healthiest when you take into the account like all the advantages of having some other nuts as far as like EPA, DHA, and good micronutrients. But I like Brazil nuts a lot, and we'll continue to take those. Chris says, are you familiar with digestive enzymes? Yes, Chris, although I'm not, for me anyway, I've not found it particularly as effective as other people. I think it's really important you find foods that go well with you. They have to speak to you. They have to resonate well with you. Like there's particular carbohydrates for a lot of people which don't cause them to have increased energy levels. And conversely, there's carbohydrates which really do help their energy levels. So find out what kind of foods work for you, and then you may not necessarily find it as necessary to go ahead and buy digestive enzymes, because I don't think it's so practical to be eating like a digestive enzyme prior to every single meal. It's something that I've tried, and the way I would use it if I were to use it was more so just if it's for like a very big meal. For example, if people are intermittent, I know intermittent fasting is very popular now, and if you're doing something like a fasting window of maybe 18-6 and you're only getting 2 meals in, that's when digestive enzymes could be really helpful. Or other things like just taking some apple cider vinegar, some chromium, and again, making sure, I know I keep saying this, making sure you're eating foods which you generally feel can digest well. And just, I was listening to, there's this nice podcast. I don't know if people like it, but I kind of like it. It's not bad. It's called Mindset Mentor. Does anybody know that guy? Mindset Mentor. And anyway, this is him, Mindset Mentor. He has his little, sorry about that. I mean, you can't even see the guy here, but what's his name? Ryan something. So he's pretty cool. And what I got out of him, there you go, Mindset Mentor. He has this little black picture. So I was listening to him, and he has this log of foods that he will like never eat again. So whenever you have an experience where you have a meal and you just don't feel good, you mark it in Evernote and like foods that will never eat again, particularly because of the bad energy, like maybe a hamburger, maybe something you got from McDonald's, whatever it is, right? So be mindful of that. And not sure, Chris, how helpful that was, but that was my opinion. Jason says, I heard pastime can give you headaches. Very rare. They're not really bad headaches, more so just brain fog. Some people will feel like a little bit less sharp than typically, and it could just be that they're maybe taking too much and they're not taking it with enough choline. Is there any other waste of money nootropics that I could possibly take out of my stack that I posted earlier, or is it just fine? Bernard, that is a good question. With a lot of them, I mean, they're so variable. Like you guys, like if you watch the other nootropic guy, Cortex Lab on YouTube, he talks a lot about Alcar, which is something which I personally just don't find effective like whatsoever. I mean, it doesn't do anything for me. So this is something where you're going to have to read a lot about people's experiences if you have the time to do, and make your decisions that way. Black seed oil, I mean, some people say some really great things about it. So that as well. And let me just go back to your stack. Uridine might be good if you're taking acetylcholine. I wouldn't necessarily say you need it. I like your uridine, but it wouldn't go in my top 5. And I'm looking back at your stack. You said CoQ10. When you say waste of money, CoQ10, you can argue that it's like you don't need it there, but at the same time, it's relatively affordable. I just think that you're missing out on some really important nootropics. So if CoQ10 is a substitute for something like rhodiola rosea, then yes, make that switch 100%. And guys, we got 21 people here. I'm really appreciative of that. Don't mind just giving this thing a like. And if you don't post a question, I will take it personally. So please post a question. And otherwise, you mentioned aniracetam, PS. PS is great. I like it a lot. I don't think you mentioned ashwagandha. So ashwagandha KSM 66 could be helpful. Bernard, again, though, tell me more. I don't remember. Are you a student, or what kind of, or if you're working, what kind of work are you involved with? Jason says, is creatine a nootropic? That's a good question. Depends who you ask. In my opinion, kind of, but not really. I think it's somewhat, I think it's somewhat overrated when it comes to being a nootropic. If you look at examine.com, they've rated creatine very highly on fighting sleep deprivation, and that's not been my experience. I've even tried taking huge dose. I mean, like the attack dose, which is 25 grams, which essentially take 5 grams of creatine monohydrate 5 times a day to saturate it in your system. You do that for a week. I don't really found it did much for me. And depends who you ask, though. I know there's another gentleman who's often on this live stream, which he's missing now. His name is Owen, and he really believes in some of the fasting and some of the benefits With creatine though, how it can act as a bad nootropic is if you don't drink enough water, because this is where a lot of people go wrong with creatine. If you're going to consume it, you need to increase your water intake. It's almost like you have a higher demand for water. And that was a mistake I made when I was consistently drinking the same amount of water, and I started taking creatine and I noticed I was just off, but then I added more water and I felt great. So kind of weird that way. I don't know what it is with me. I just need water all the time. I'm drinking like 1.5 gallons per day. And if I don't, I feel just so off. It's like I need to have water every 20 minutes or I just get hella anxious with like whatever form it is. In the evening, in the evening, because I want to, minimize my appetite. I don't want to go back in the kitchen and get some goodies. I really enjoy just taking some green tea. So green tea decaf, great tool for suppressing appetite. There's a lot of people on my channel who somehow land here because they want to lose weight. I'm not necessarily a fitness coach, but I've had some good fitness coaches and I've read a lot about losing weight as I grew up on the chubbier side. And yeah, like decaf green tea, really strong appetite suppressant. Would highly recommend it. Do you avoid fast food? Yes, Tolkera. I cannot even remember the last time I ate fast food, but that's something, when I was younger, I was really into fitness. Like probably since age 16, I've had fast food. Like, oh my gosh, I'm 28 right now. I've probably had fast food like 5 times in the last decade. Sounds kind of crazy. Maybe 10 if I was at an airport and stuck. Yeah, just don't like the way it makes you feel. But I'm not even somebody who like eating out. I was like trying to save up money to buy this damn house, so I barely ate out anyway, and not my thing. Coffee plus MCT oil. Sachin, what is the question? I'm not too clear. Coffee plus MCT oil, lion's mane powder work great for me for fatigue. Yeah, that's very cool. I'm kind of a little bit interested in some of the coffees out there, like the 4-sigmatic lion's mane coffee. Hearing some good things about that, but I like my lion's mane right now in the 8-to-1 extract. I took kava and I felt jittery after. Can kava cause that? Chris, that's a good question. There's something interesting to be said about kava, and even some forms of caffeine at time is that and even like modafinil, some days they work well, some days they don't. You got to just keep on trying and testing, try with different foods, try it in different amounts and see what works, because kava is one of the things that is supposed to be the best or one of the best for decreasing anxiety levels. I'm learning about computer science at home. I'm a first-year college student, fast food worker, overachiever. Great, yeah. So you're money hungry, and I could totally relate because, hey guys, like I started taking nootropics to make more money. I wasn't looking to fix, sleep, like mood, memory, brain fog. I just wanted to make more money, and I thought nootropics could help me get there. So I can relate, and because of what you're involved in, I would argue that you probably don't need the aniracetam. I would substitute oxiracetam with the aniracetam, or even better, add it into the stack. Oxiracetam, guys, I posted that poll of nootropics that helped me double my income. Honestly, it was just like racetams, Noopept, alpha GPC. I think the racetams, provided that you're objective and you have good indicators as far as like numbers of whatever hours worked, dollars made, and like ideally if you're in a sales job, which is 100% commission based, then these things are easy to track. And racetams, it's like noticeable how much strong of a work ethic you have, but you need to give it time. You need to give it like 60 to 90 days. So I would, is there anybody else who notices such good results from the racetams? Because I seem to be one of the few. Even other like popular nootropic channels on YouTube, which I think there's only like a handful, they don't talk so much about the racetams. And I'm just like, I found the racetams before I found any other nootropic. What does the ratio mean in the 8-to-1 lion's mane? Oh my goodness, I wish I knew the answer to that. That's a great question, Hus. I apologize, Hus. David Asprey scam is that coffee plus MCT oil, for God's sake. Julian, that's a good point. Some people see good results with it. With MCT oil, I think there's some studies showing that it actually works better with males than females for whatever reason. Maybe men can just metabolize it more efficiently. How much money do you spend on nootropics each month? About, including my thyroid medication and Wellbutrin, not accounting for insurance and all that stuff, maybe $1,300 a month, something like that. Nootropics to boost confidence. Caffeine and L-theanine is really good. Lion's mane, Noopept, and not L-tyrosine, as it can cause a little bit of anxiety. So those are the ones which come top of mind. But if you ask me tomorrow, I may have a different answer for you. I apologize for that. Ashwagandha had a depersonalization effect on me. It's like all signals got silenced. It will do that because it seems to calm you and mute your emotions to some extent. Hey, Mike, really appreciate your recommendations for the stack. I'm on, okay, so Generous Jacks, if you're just listening to this, then you might want to check out his post as he wants my opinion on his stack. I'm on alpha GPC, phenylparastam, 10 gram. Okay, you need to just be more clear with the doses if you don't mind. Okay, so phenylparastam, alpha GPC, ashwagandha, lion's mane, and it made me feel free and more productive. Started in the afternoon. Also omega-3. Great, yeah. Really appreciate your recommendations on the stack. Yeah, stack looks good. I'm be curious to know if you're taking that every single day and what are the dosages. And you may benefit from adding paracetam and rhodiola to that stack if you're looking to have a good overall productive day. Rhodiola rosea, guys, it's a game changer because rhodiola rosea is like one nootropic over any of the other adaptogens that will really help you to fight fatigue. At those little instances when you like know you should be taking a break, when you feel kind of burnt out and you feel like you're getting like diminishing returns for every, for your outputs, right? Like your energy, your time spent with working, and you need to take a break, try some rhodiola rosea, like 300 milligrams of a good form, and it is highly effective at just helping you get that mental fatigue gone, giving you the physical and the mental energy to just keep on going. Like I slept for 4 hours last night, and because of that, I took my phenylparastam, and I specifically did like cardio, like high intensity interval training. I find like that when it comes to times when you're sleep deprived, if you're to ask like kind of what the best thing is to do, I don't see weight training being all that great because you don't feel as strong. It's almost like your joints don't, I don't know. You don't feel healthy. You don't feel like you can go after it, have the best weight training session. And when you do some sort of cardio that just really gets the heart going, it's very effective, and it almost feels like it fights sleep deprivation or symptoms of sleep deprivation far stronger than creatine and rhodiola rosea, which seem to have the evidence behind them that they are effective in fighting sleep deprivation, yet somewhat safe. And yeah, I'm still feeling pretty energized, and I've been up for maybe like 16, 17 hours now. I'm going to head out. Okay, no worries, cool. I'm not heading out just yet. Is paracetam work the same as aniracetam and oxiracetam? The answer to that question is no. Paracetam is like the foundation. Aniracetam and oxiracetam are far more effective. The difference is, in summary, aniracetam, great for social anxiety, things like introducing yourself to people, things like helping you with your confidence. For those of you who consider yourself introverts or people that like to socially isolate, that's where aniracetam is a good tool, as it can help you just to exhibit some different types of behaviors. Oxiracetam is more, oxiracetam is one racetam which I like because it induces this wakefulness effect and it's working. Whereas the other racetams, they take a bit of time. Oxiracetam, yeah, it's cool. It's like you take a capsule even without choline and you immediately feel like your priorities come top of mind. Sometimes I'll take it and be like, wow, I've wasted so much of my day. I've wasted so much of the past few hours. What the hell have I been doing? Snap out of it, get back to work. So it's a good reset, especially good for fighting fatigue. And it also serves as a great purpose, like just pre-workout. Oxiracetam is great. And paracetam is more so effective, I noticed, when it comes to like energy, motivation, and memory. When it comes to motivation, I just mean like working a lot of hours, having a good schedule. Paracetam, you'll find like keep it in your stack. Here's one way that I think people make the mistake of measuring the effectiveness of paracetam. Like if you just go and measure like the number of hours you're working every single day, try 30 days try 60 days without paracetam, try 60 days with paracetam. You'll find that like you have far more interest in being productive and being your best self. And I find that there's this beautiful synergy when you mix the racetams. Like I find pramiracetam, which I just talked about in my last video, is more effective when I add paracetam to it. And paracetam, I mean, it's awfully cheap, so I don't see why anybody would particularly want to avoid it. Have you tried, hey, my questions, do we take the rhodiola and paracetam together or in a different time? I take them all together. I don't think there's much wrong with taking nootropics like that together. The only ones which I'm cautious of and taking together are stimulants, and I don't consider those to be stimulants, although they can be slightly stimulating. So rhodiola, paracetam together, good stack. I do that a lot. 300 milligrams of rhodiola with 1 gram of paracetam. Have you tried CBD oil? I have not tried it yet. And I take aniracetam, and it makes my insomnia worse, then don't take aniracetam. Sachin, I addressed some of your questions because I know you asked me questions on Patreon, so I answered them in the beginning of this live stream. So after this is finished, you may want to just hop to the beginning, and I addressed some of the questions. I know you asked about oxiracetam and alpha GPC, so it is all there. And I'm gonna answer your question. What are some good nootropics to help learn going beyond previous failed mental blocks? That really is just a question of what can you use to forget the past. I've talked about NSI 189, which can kind of help you to just kind of like maneuver almost your thoughts and help to create new patterns of thinking and forget old patterns of thinking. Sachin really like combine the adaptogens, do like some good mindfulness meditation, and it's very effective. And I find that just helps to kind of embrace life from a blank canvas versus continue the painting that was there yesterday. What do you think about TRT or steroids in general as nootropics? Really enjoy your content, bro. Thanks for the kind words. And I think that TRT or testosterone is like the most powerful nootropic out there because I've been there. I once dieted down to about maybe like 7 or 8% body fat. And my testosterone was like very low, shown in the bioavailable. I saw my endocrinologist. They had me tested, like the proper way of getting your test done, 8 a.m. in the morning, 3 days consecutively. And I was low, so I was on shots, and it was one shot every 2 weeks. Like one shot of test, you are just mentally so sharp. Your sleep is better. You wake up like excited. You better mood overall. You're so overconfident, almost in a bad way. I found that the one issue, like why I wouldn't necessarily say TRT is the best, is you kind of like a manic episode. You kind of have these unreal beliefs in yourself. When I was on testosterone, I just remember it was like anything. If I was like going after my goals and there was some sort of like incident failure, I remember like I just got mad, like uncontrollably mad. Like I wanted to punch something. Everything you would expect or what you see in movies or what you read about bodybuilders and like the road rage, that is a real thing. And as far as your libido being up, like it is not only up, like your libido, it's like 10x. I mean, anything walking immediately just becomes attractive. So with respect to as a nootropic, where it's best is that you're able to just function off of far less sleep. And then of course there's all the benefits when it comes to body composition. Like I remember I was doing like weighted pull-ups and I had like a 25 or maybe like a 35-pound belt. And I was always plateaued at like 6 reps. So we're talking like wide rip pull-ups, right? With like, the weight, how it is, hanging, doing like 6 reps. I swear I was stuck there for 2 months. I started using testosterone. It was like within 1 week, I got 2 more reps and I just kept going. I'm like, what the hell is going on, right? And it was the test, so it's kind of cool, but I wouldn't go back to it just because of all the evidence showing its kind of long-term cons. And it's really strange just how it works. It's very hard to keep your test elevated like by a good amount for a sustainable period of time. Like when mine went up, it was followed by like a huge drop afterwards. And no matter how good my diet was, it's not as easy as people make it seem to be. Like with TRT, kind of like thyroid, I use T3 every day for hypothyroidism. And that's something which, like 7 years of testing my blood, I still don't have my T3, T4, and TSH all in the right markers, but I just go by kind of what works for me. Are people not commenting much because I'm like talking too much? Or why do we have 27 people here and not that many questions, guys? Because the more questions you get, the more energy you give me. And I appreciate your contribution, guys. Do you use lion's mane in the morning? Yes. Jay Gomez, I do use it in the morning because I work out first thing in the morning. And you'll see that in some pre-workouts, like not pre-gym, but some popular pre-workouts are starting to add lion's mane, as it seems to have this good effect on your like not like energy levels, but specifically like focus, concentration, like longer periods of concentration. Good, just mentally, get there and be in the zone. What are your thoughts on lithium orotate and coenzyme Q? I already mentioned CoQ10. Lithium orotate, I don't know much about it. Some people swear by it as far as like what it can do for your mood, but don't know too much about it. Bernard says, is it worth it to buy supplements like iodine? Guys, we have 27 people here. Don't mind giving this thing a like. It's the one live stream. I mean, I haven't done a live stream in a while. I'm going to try to do these more, but quite honestly, I think moving forward that all my live streams will just be done with my Patreons as we get that back, because I don't want to be giving out everything here, right? It'd be good to just get like a more intimate group and we can go more in depth as far as like nootropic stacks are concerned, and yeah, really helping people to grow. And it's just cool to see people grow with me. I appreciate you guys. So is it worth to buy, Bernard says, is it worth to buy supplements like iodine, zinc, vitamin D, and magnesium? Bernard, I would say yes. And the reason why is a couple things. Firstly, it depends where you are. Like vitamin D here in Canada, I mean, everybody takes it. It's like 90% of people, if you walk into, like, because I sell homes, I'm walking in houses all the time and I see their supplements, like everybody's taking vitamin D. So yeah, so it depends where you are. For the most part though, zinc, magnesium, not as necessary as vitamin D and magnesium are. I think with zinc, you're likely getting enough, so to speak. Zinc deficiency, it's bad, but I don't think it's, it won't cause sort like stress or you to be in a state that is, bad, like so bad as it is with like vitamin D, for example. Fabian says, love your channel, bro. What is the closest nootropic stack that comes close to Adderall? I have really bad ADD. I'm in my 30s and I feel I haven't accomplished my goals. So I haven't accomplished my goals due to so many distractions. Well, Fabian, the first thing is just know to yourself, like, being hard on yourself is never going to help you. I mean, like being hard on yourself in the right way to help you move forward, but just make sure that doesn't cause you to exercise or to just stress and feelings of inadequacy. Don't compare yourself to other people. Just compare yourself to yourself and just look for like growing by 1% every single day. Like by the end of the day, I have this quote on my wall because I'm crazy and I just like quotes because there's too many bad stuff out there that you need to just get it out. By the end of the day, I want things in my life to be a tiny bit better than they were this morning. I got that quote from Jordan Peterson, by the way. He was a professor at my school and at University of Toronto teaching psychology. So yeah, hope that's helpful as far as like the mindset techniques. When it comes to nootropics, look at the adaptogens, L-tyrosine, L-tyrosine, like a lot like over daily value almost of vitamin B is going to be very effective. Rhodiola rosea, L-tyrosine, caffeine. You may want to try like the extended release caffeine because you're looking at something like Adderall. It works for a very long period of time. Yerba mate could be good as well for like that sustained feel you get from caffeine. And if you're just to get one thing and compare it as far as what is the most similar to Adderall, it would be phenylparastime in my opinion, or modafinil. But modafinil, like the dose is a little bit tricky. It's phenylparastime is just cool that you get like that mood uplift. You get the appetite suppressing feel that you get with Adderall, the focus, the drive, all that. So it's pretty cool. Like with Adderall, you notice you kind of don't feel yourself because you're so euphoric, and phenylparastime can elicit that feeling sometimes. Meow Meow says, take omega-3, NAC, and holy basil. I'm a coder in early 40s. Qualia has been a career saver for me. After experimenting with your channel, I found that uridine, which helped me to think faster. Very, very cool. James Forrest says, did you ever get to meet Jordan? No, because firstly, I wasn't in psychology. I was in finance. I was like number crunching. And I did take Psych 101, but he wasn't my professor, but he was the professor for my sister's class in psychology. So Jordan Peterson, man, what a great talker. I think he gives a good image of Toronto because that is like a typical Torontonian. Like me, we talk fast, we try to sound smart, even though we're always, we're sometimes not. And he's a great speaker to listen to, and he's super articulate. JPBP, I love Jordan Peterson, and I'm in Alberta. You look so healthy. Meow Meow, I slept for 4 hours yesterday, so I'm surprised you're saying that, but I appreciate the compliment, and I'm looking forward to the barbers opening again so I don't have to keep cutting my hair because this is getting challenging, and I'm not so good at fades, but I try my best. You are pumped up, man. Haha. Thanks for that. Hey, it's you guys pumping me up when I see 25 or 30 people here at this time of the day, and knowing you guys are in different places, that gives me energy, This is so good. This is a good conversation. Some questions were already answered by others, so it's cool. Yeah, cool. Jay, do change my life. Bald, bro. Tolkera, I don't know if I'm willing to go bald because I'm just scared my hair would not grow back, but I have thought about it. Come to Calgary. What's in Calgary? I'm just joking. Yeah, Calgary sounds awesome. It's definitely somewhere where I want to travel to because I have not traveled much in Canada. I'm not. I mean, Canada's nice, but I'm gonna move to the States as soon as I can. When do you think it would be a good time to? Ethan says, when do you think a good time to use Phenibut would be? Seems a lot of people use it for a substitute for a social lubricant like alcohol. You know, that's a good question. I would say if you really want to reset your sleeping patterns and you want, you know, because like Phenibut has this wonderful ability to just make you drowsy and make you want to sleep. So I think it's really cool that way. So perhaps if you want to just reset, you know, and just start fresh as far as what time you wake up every day, that's pretty cool. Seems like a good thing on a Sunday, but Phenibut with me, it just seems that I'm so tempted to do things outside of work, which is why I don't think you should be mixing it with work. I think it's better, you know, for weekends most likely. Although you're probably better off asking other people, as I'm just not the biggest fan of Phenibut. What is the best for guys? Oh my gosh, I didn't realize it's getting late now and we just hit an hour. So I hope you all found this helpful. Just give it a like before you hop off and let me know what you want me to review in a future video. And I appreciate all your comments. I know a lot of you are surprised that I like respond to everyone, but I'll keep on doing it. So if you guys want to get in touch with me, you don't need to pay anything. Just comment on a video and I will definitely get back to you probably within like 5 to 6 hours. That's what I'm trying to do. And hope to educate your nootropic journey. And I'm as well enjoying learning a lot from you guys too. So we're all going to grow together and it's a wrap. And make sure you have a magnificent Tuesday, guys. Take care.